Sounds very quiet.
Yeah. Can you change the speaker to the TV? I think you should Samsung.
Where it was.
Yeah. Where's the there we go.
Good.
Ah.
All right. Emily, can you just say hi for us?
Or Ben?
Or Ben?
Sure, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you, so
It is coming out down here.
Yeah,
on the
it's
computer.
coming from the computer, not the TV.
and let's get this straight. Otherwise, it's going to be.
So we're working on the audio on our end. Hang on.
I could hear you, Emily, as an observer. This is Joe Paul.
Great, thanks, Joe.
Instead of doing it through Zoom or Teams, we need to go to settings.
Samsung, right?
Should be Samsung. That's weird. Go back to sound at the top. Volume next to sound.
Time for a sound system in here.
Go to test.
Okay, it works. Okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll see if that works, but
All right, let's try that again.
Can you
Sound
hear me
check.
better now?
Nope.
it's-
No.
How about you, Ben?
I can hear all you guys. Can you not hear me?
Just barely.
We're having an audio delivery issue in the room.
Yeah, because I can hear Emily loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear Ben and you guys too.
Try that again.
Hey, hey.
Oh, perfect. All right, excellent. Okay. So let's start with you, Emily. Just identify yourself for the record, please.
Sure, Emily Molden is here.
Ben?
Ben Shampoo's here.
Mary Longacre?
Dave Shampoo. Okay, so we in fact have a quorum. Everybody had a look at the agenda for today. Do we have a motion on the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Charlie, do we have any minutes?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we'll skip that. Let's move on to old business. We'll just start briefly with 43 Union Street. Anything to report?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, looks like there's,
I haven't seen it. Probably a week or just slip it down there, but I don't think I've seen it.
I haven't seen any activity, so. Emily, anything, you haven't heard anything? No?
No, I've not heard anything new on that one.
All right, let's continue on to the discussion of the proposed Tom Nevers bike path as it applies to trees that need to be removed along the bike path. Identify yourself, please.
My name is Manpujat Ambruzak on behalf of the Bermans at
Okay.
98 Tonopah Road.
Okay,
And also Andrew Halfond is also here on
Okay.
behalf of Berman.
okay, all right. Now, has everybody had a chance to look at the trees out there?
Yeah, is Joe here for this?
Hmm?
Is
Yep.
Joe, are you here for this issue?
No, Joe's here for new business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
So, okay, here we go.
So I guess I can set this up a little bit. We'll have an official tree hearing next month for the removal of these trees. The town has proposed to install a bike path along Tom Nevers Road. these four cherries here, I believe are proposed to be removed for the installation of the bike path.
This is number 103.
This is number 98.
Oh, this is 98? Okay.
98. So if everyone can.
Those are I thought, oh, are those the Bradford
Quonzons.
pears? Those are the
No, those
Quonzons.
are the
The Quonzons
Quonzons.
were first, okay. All right.
View.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the same meeting, we'll also cover 110, which are these Bradfords.
Yep.
Down the road. So-
Anybody, okay, so why don't we just open it up to the members of the committee first, and then we can have a discussion with,
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, Drew's here to answer
Yep.
on behalf of the town. This is just preliminary, will be no official.
now, the trees are, the trees basically have been planted on town property.
Correct.
Survey wise, that essentially. And to my knowledge, the homeowner had no permission to
No,
plant
I've never given
on town,
permission.
on town property. I don't
Never
recall
had
any
permission to do it.
any of that happening, so. But,
I guess, I don't know if this will help, I'll give a little bit of the background. So obviously the intent of the project is to install a bike path from Milestone Road, down Tom Nevers, all the way to where the road ends by the former Tom Nevers Navy base. And now, town-owned parcel, open space, park. So obviously the intent is to get pedestrians, cyclists out of the road. It's a road that's heavily traveled, high rate of speed, especially on the corner. It's hard from a sightline perspective to kind of maximize safety. As the project was in the design and development phase, the alternatives for the location of the bike path and in relation to the road were those options were brought in front of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee and then the Select Board. Obviously, staff had input and opinions on what was best for the greater Nantucket community, but long story short, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the Select Board both voted to approve and endorse a layout that included a buffer between the paved roadway surface and the paved bike path surface. So obviously the intent is also to keep all of these improvements in the right of way. So in this location, 98 and 110, you can see that in order to have a 10-foot wide bike path plus a couple feet, I think it's a 4-foot minimum grass buffer between the edge of the travel lane where vehicles travel and the bike path itself. These trees are kind of smack dab, in the way of the bike path. So there was an alternate option where the bike path would abut the road. That was not very well received, and that was not voted on in the direction from where the
So I have a question about that option.
Yep.
Dale, so assume that the bike path is put along the road.
Yes.
What would that do to the root system of the trees?
Destroy
Yeah.
the root system.
And so even if it was along the road, the trees would still suffer.
So the bigger issue would be impact, compaction of the root system, and the trees would eventually starve to death for water anyway. Because everything would be so compacted, and then you have pavement on top of that, wouldn't help the trees survive the.
and in this case, you need 10 feet, and that's less than 10 feet, so I mean.
from the trunk
From the trunk.
to the road is probably 10 feet, maybe a little bit more as you get closer to the
Yeah, I
driveway.
can see, I
to the
can
east there.
see that up near the driveway, but
Yeah, because it might help you picture, that's probably about a 10.5 foot travel lane.
Yeah.
From the yellow line to the white fog
Yeah,
line, so,
yeah.
you're looking at a minimum, you're going that distance off the roadway, but, we do get, a lot of feedback and kind of complaints and concern about, some areas like Milk Street, like Matticat Road, where the bike path immediately abuts the paved surface. And as such,
it's dangerous.
feedback and the select would preferred, obviously, to keep as much of a separation as possible between the road and the bike path while maintaining, you know, all the permanent improvements in the public right of way. We did talk to abutters. Another option is to put the bike path on the back side of the trees. If the, you know, desire was to retain these trees in their current location, but that would mean those permanent improvements, the bike path, would be on private property, and we would need a permanent easement on private property, which obviously, you know, wasn't the preferred option of, I think, any of the abutters. But, you know, I think to my 2 cents, you know, to date, the trees are far enough off the road that it hasn't been an encroachment or safety concern that we've had to address. But unfortunately, now we have this, you know, project happening and not enough space to accommodate everything in this area. So if the bike path's not gonna go up next to the road, and if it's not gonna go behind the trees, well, unfortunately, it needs to go where the trees are located.
Well, this road is definitely needed a bike path forever. You know, I mean, who was that? Who's the guy that got hit by the?
Yeah, Steve Cohen.
Oh, Steve Cohen. Yeah.
Steve Cohen, yeah.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's where we're at, you know, and I do share the same concern that, like, you know, even if the bike path is, you know, immediately adjacent to the road, it's gonna impact the routes in a pretty significant manner.
Not to mention just the construction damage, you know, to put in the asphalt.
Yeah.
The overdig.
Overdig, everything.
Yeah,
you know.
because, you know, in order to install it, you're not just paving over what's
Yeah.
there, right? You're excavating down, you're putting gravel wider than the 10-foot path,
Right.
paving over the top of it. It's, you know,
People would be hitting trees as they're riding by, and like branches would be too close.
yeah, I mean,
You know.
yeah.
What I'd suggest is, it would work if, you know, but with the wires so close, to get in there with a tree spade, to move the things back, that to me could work.
That is possible. The problem is because of the tree and how wide the spade would be, it would cut roots off on each tree, and that'll cause them distress.
Yep.
Plus, if they're bigger than 10 inch, we don't have anything here to pick them up anyway.
Right.
You know, we don't have a 10-inch spade on that type.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. We did talk about that as well. I mean, you know, the abutters that have trees in the right of way that they'd like to save are more than welcome to move them back onto their property. But we're not gonna spend local Nantucket taxpayer dollars to move these trees. They were planted in the public right of way.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, I think if the trees are intended to be saved, it's incumbent upon the
And-
property owner to do so.
And once a tree is planted in the sidewalk or public right of way, it becomes town owned.
Right.
You know, so.
So, assuming it all goes forward, is there anything in the current plan that would replace the trees or replant, or or are they just gone?
We don't have a planting plan yet, no. I think to Scott's point, you know, when we do a bike path project, we try to make sure that we're not planting things adjacent to the bike path that then become a safety or maintenance, you know, issue for us. That's not to say we can't do something, but where the roadway is located within the right of way, the bike path for 90+% of the project is basically right up against the edge of the right of way. So any planting we would be doing would be on private property for the most part.
And not to mention, I think all of Tom Nevers Road, the power lines are all on the left side of the road.
Yep.
And anything that we would plant that would have a high branch structure to get up out of the way, it would be growing in the overhead wires.
And that's the other thing with planting, with this planting, it's the fact that it's right under the wires. That's a no-no.
Yeah, and
So
obviously,
the poles and the wires are gonna move also, is that?
so
because of the
they're
bike path or
they're not, and we spent a lot of time with working with National Grid, talking about the existing location of the poles, and believe it or not, thankfully, almost all of them are located such that the bike path can go right behind the pole and still stay within the right of way. So the poles are almost exactly like 11 feet inside the right of way for the most part. The other thing we discussed at length was the guy wires that they have. And some of those may need to be relocated, although Steve Holgate mentioned that a good number of those are kind of unnecessary. They were put in because for short money and short amount of time when the poles were replaced however many years ago, they put them in for safety. Some of those are on private property where they connect to the ground. And we needed to make sure we had plenty of clearance, not just for pedestrians and cyclists, but we plowed these, right? So we have a truck that goes down them in the winter. You know, a lot, obviously, yeah, again, I think again, a lot of consideration went into what side of the road the bike path would be on and whether any crossings are reasonably, you know, expected or could reasonably be accommodated, and still maintain a safe corridor. The reason the bike path is on the same side as the utility poles is largely because of all the roads that intersect Tom Nevers on the west side to the north, closest to like Milestone. I've always called them the back bay streets, but
The Alphabet
Arlington,
roads.
yeah, it is ABC roads, so you know, Arlington, Berkeley, Clarendon, Dartmouth. So that's a lot of intersections that you have conflicts between pedestrians and cyclists and motor vehicles. Whereas on the east and south side of the road, the only crossings are Longwood, Parsons, Lyons, Old Town Nevers. And there's 4 intersections, the whole 2+ mile distance.
Yeah.
And so it just, you know, and again, then we did analysis, like when you come past Tom Nevers or Old Tom Nevers, does it make sense or is it safe to provide a crossing? And we didn't feel that was appropriate. So it remained on the south side, you know.
I think safety wise, that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
How much room do we have from the edge of how much does the town own from the edge of the road? Like 25 feet?
It varies, but in this location, I can measure it. I can pull it up and measure it, but it's probably 15 to 20 feet.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
Well, it's probably where the post for the gate is actually.
So
Yeah,
actually,
right?
So actually, there was a property survey done. I can show it on the screen, but here's Tom Nevers Road.
Yeah.
This was one of the attachments to the use signs.
Attachment 3,
Yeah.
I can pull it up.
Okay. So there's Tom Nevers Road centered in the right of way. This is the property line at the front of.
So
At the front of 98 and the adjacent properties. And you can see the utility poles in that aerial photo. And I think it even shows the cobblestone driveway apron.
okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so you can see the utility pole on the left where the bike path goes behind it.
Yep.
And the bike path just ever so slightly is shown going on private property.
Yep.
I think we would stake, the most recent plan shows the bike path closer to the back of the utility pole.
Yep.
And staying entirely in the right of way.
Right.
And then on the right, you can see the granite post that's called out,
Yep.
which again on the aerial
Right.
image, I think that's
Yep.
still
Yep.
visible. So again, it's most definitely those 4 that are located entirely in the right of way.
Right.
That are in
Yep.
direct conflict.
Yep.
The one that's on the property line, yep, that one there. You know, that one might have a little bit of
I would think if we're
damage to the roots, but
I think if
hopefully
we-
it could still be retained and
Yeah.
and remain healthy.
Right.
And that would be the goal, you know.
Sure.
Don't unnecessarily take anything out, but
Yep.
you know, the other issue is if the bike path in this location has to, you know, ends up abutting the road to save the trees, well, now we're moving utility poles.
Yeah.
You know, and
well,
that's just another thing we wanted to avoid.
for sure. I mean, I think for safety wise, it's no fun when you're driving down Matticat Road when you're facing all those people on bikes. It's dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, the bike path through Tom Nevers maintains that minimum 4 foot. You know, and it's a really strange layout, but as you get closer to Lyford and Old Tom Nevers, the right of way really widens out into this kind of strange alignment. And so we're able to, you know, maintain even further of a separation,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
10, 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
But in some areas, just because of the width of the right of way, our options are obviously fairly limited.
Just out of curiosity, what's the speed limit at this end of Tom Nevers? I know it's 40 going in.
So
from Milestone.
40.
I think it's still 40.
It doesn't drop down until
Yeah.
you get closer to like 110.
Yeah.
Where the Bradfords are.
Emily, you have some thoughts?
Thank you. Yeah, I did have a couple of questions more relative to the letter that we had received through, I guess, the property owner's attorney, the Fitch Law letter. There were just some things in there that made me want to just ask for some confirmation on. I mean, there's a presumption in this letter that these are not town trees, and I just kind of wanted to back up and maybe have that confirmation again. It sounds to me like these are officially on, or at least most of them, town-owned property by being in the right of way. And I just wanted to confirm that, because if that's the case, then my understanding from our bylaw is that they are town trees. So that was one thing that I wanted to clarify.
I think that's a good point. I mean, considering that the trees were planted without permission, and
because I was just looking back at the town tree designation in our bylaw, and one of the conditions for being a town tree is whether, if it says if the tree stands on or has its trunk partially on town-owned property. So based on what I'm hearing and seeing on this plan, if these are in fact in the right of way and it's a town road, then I think that means that they are town trees, but I sort of just wanted to get staff's thought and everyone else's thought on that. So I think that's important.
Yes, because they are planted in town right away, we have jurisdiction over them.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be one of my primary questions, just for discussion, as far as what rights the town has to manage these or take them down going forward. And maybe that's something that will be disputed, but I just wanted to try to establish that from our perspective.
that's a law question that I think will get resolved eventually. So, but good point, and I certainly picked up on that as well. So, Ben, any comments from you? Ben, you there? Must have.
Yeah, I'm here. I think it's a little bit of a tricky situation, as we're all kind of identifying. But I do think that this falls in a situation where if anybody wanted to take town property, they could. So there has to be a component of this that the town has to be the driver of having planted the trees, I would think.
Yeah.
Did you guys get?
Yep.
And then because otherwise, who's to say that, I mean, obviously our mission is to protect trees and town trees in particular, but this is sort of a situation where an unauthorized tree planting basically was put in an area that perhaps was always deemed to be a bike path. So.
Yep. Okay.
So that's where I stand on that.
Yeah.
Guys, I am really, really sorry, but I have to jump off of this meeting.
Is that in the meeting? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
Can we just, I mean, Joe Paul is here, Ben, can you just hang on for a little bit, please?
Yeah. All right. Hang on, guys. I need 5 minutes. It's important. All right.
Okay, we'll take a break.
Hang on a second.
Yep.
Hang on a second. I have 5 minutes and then I gotta go. It's okay. 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So let's go.
So we need to jump to.
Okay, so do you need to say anything today or not? Or
I didn't need to say anything today since the
okay,
hearing.
we're just taking notes. So
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, let's close that. And Joe, you're there. You're here, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hey, Joe.
Hi.
All right. We're not looking at 149 Main Street today, but we are doing your proposals for 25 Husky Street. The floor.
Yeah, that's right. 149 Main. I'm waiting on a survey that shows the tree relative to, I have an as-built, but it doesn't actually show the tree on it and the diameter of the tree. And that project is a fall 2026 start. And so it, I think was premature to meet about. But Hussey Street is one that we would like to discuss. Oh yeah, and it's not this tree, it's the one, if you move to the right and look up the driveway, it's actually between this street, this and Academy Hill. Yeah, that's it, right back there, correct. And so I have a site plan from Bracken that shows that tree at approximately 12.5 feet off the back of the garage that you see in this
Okay,
photo.
we looked at that deal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so we have HDC approval to deconstruct that garage. Actually, it's not going to be we're not just going to crunch it. We're reusing materials. That garage sits on a slab, and we're building a guest cottage back there. But what's going to happen is the right-hand side of this garage as it stands is about 6 inches off the property line. It's going to move to the left so it's compliant with zoning, 5 feet. And then 10 feet more to the left will be a single car garage that will be on a slab, and then our guest house with a full basement. And what that puts the full basement about, according to my CAD plan, 18.5 feet from that tree. That's sort of the overview. And then the technical part of this from a site planning perspective, because we have a lot of grade changes and it's tight, McCardle Engineering will be the site engineer for this, and they are working on a shoring plan for this. We just got permit today to deconstruct the garage. That will start, I'm not quite sure when, but somewhere in the near future, and we'll do some boring tests in this location. And I'm just mentioning all of that because we have the site engineer that was involved in a project that I just did at 89 Easton near at the corner of Cliff and Easton, which was a complicated site.
So we're gonna lose the quorum in the meeting any second now. Is there a question that you have, or is this informational?
No, it's really just a point of information. I've never worked on a project in all my years here that had a town tree, and I've met with Dale to talk about this, so I'm not quite sure what the process is, to be honest.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is at some point, Joe, is meet you, Dale and I meet you on site. Because we really have concerns. That's a beautiful American elm. And it certainly is part of the
historical downtown trees.
No, and also what you see from the boat coming in, that it's one of the highest points on the island, and it contributes to that whole treescape around Academy Hill. And we don't want to see anything happen to that tree.
Oh yeah, we're not looking to remove it.
Yeah, well, I know you're not going to remove it. We wouldn't allow it. Well, we would strenuously object. But we also, we want to see what kind of perimeter we're going to have away from the trunk of that tree, because the root system of an elm is huge, and it probably is growing underneath that garage.
And my biggest concern is the overdip.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would have to be sheathed for sure, but quite a ways away from the tree. So there's minimum root damage to the tree.
Yeah. So my understanding is that I'm just here to give you an update that it's something that we're working on, and then I understand that whatever constraints need to be adhered to or engineered to protect the tree would be incorporated into a site plan, and presumably there's inspections and things like that. And we've made some considerations for the full basement space, and I'd like to know sooner than later if that needs to be shifted. We don't have much room to move it any further, but of course, if we had to change full basement, we'd do that.
So grade beam, build it on a grade beam or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the full basement is a huge part of the program. So I mean, we can't see maybe we can see under the ground. I don't know if there's a radar that gets done of the roots and tail. So understanding what's happening below the surface, I'm assuming you want to know that.
Yeah, we do.
I think we're gonna lose Ben, so
Yeah.
it's just Joe,
Okay,
reach out
so
to
Joe,
Dave and-
Yeah, guys,
touch with
hey,
me.
I'm still here, so I'm listening in. I think that if I would just say, Joe, we can get to reviewing some plans after you and Dale and Dave meet, and you get their best advice on how to best protect the tree during construction and kind of what all that would entail. It would probably entail hiring an arborist, Jim Cook, or somebody from Bartlett's perhaps to survey the site and just determine the tree protection zone and give you some criteria to work with, and then run your design from there. So I'm going to sign off, guys. I'm sorry I got to leave early, but
Right.
I
So
got to
Joe,
run.
be in touch with us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
Meeting adjourned.
meeting is adjourned.
Also something.
All right.
Hey guys,
Well, thank
can I
you.
just ask one question? Just kind of going off what Joe just said regarding some of these keeping the trees, right? I mean, I think that we're all in agreement to keep as many trees as we can, and I'm just kind of making a parallel comment on the 98 Tom's Never property, right? I just want to make sure that we're consistent with kind of what we're thinking. If it makes sense to keep some trees on one property, it makes sense to keep the same on others. And
It's a case by case basis, and that's why we have
Right.
these.
correct, right. I just want to be consistent with the message. But also, I think someone said that the speed limit's 40 miles per hour on that road. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, have you thought about reducing the speed limit, right? I mean, if the main priority is safety, I mean, to me, I think first thing to protect pedestrians, whether it's walking, whether it's on bikes, right, reduce the speed limit to 25. I mean, when you look at other places in Massachusetts, other islands, I mean, I don't think most folks want to start construction. I think first thing they want to do is reduce
I
the
think we
limit.
can hash this out at the hearing, because,
Yeah, we no longer have a quorum.
we don't have a quorum at the moment, so Ben had to leave the meeting, so we'll get into a problem with
Open meeting law. Yeah.
an open meeting law if we continue this discussion. So save those comments for the
For the hearing.
hearing in October. But a good point. Okay, I think we're good. Thanks, everyone.